Barack Obama once said, "No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change."
The purpose of this video is to spread awareness about climate change and how it will continue to affect our land and culture.
We need to be the voice to those who don't have one, the animals, the plants, the rivers, and trees.
We hope this video encourages everyone to take action in order to seize opportunities and lessens the risk associated to harmful impacts.
Elgun taunan Waskaganish, Kapshashad Waskaganish Jishwemokt. Udet you at no dat Quebec, Canada, Hitogan Waskaganish. Elgo Waskaganish UCB, and they shitajo James Bay Washad. Dan says Simnanj Babam Wiojo de Hiu is seat, Shashan de Ishpej Weskich. Waskaganish, elgo moche mukti town. Germag had some big company, Ger Weskich gazin do you nanot, ude huchnagabe no dat Canada. Sha Weskich the Bajmonoch, and Kaziashu mido nanot, Gerwa which you don't. Elgun jish uste and stochem datum no it should use into town. Ashok could magoda cheo who was shut. It was gone nash at Zika tact and no stanit scanesiak. Shasho stench dam datum no minium no bubunti schnack dananot dawano, as you weed zikut. A schnack there was skagabo domstubet, gessibi. Musi miogonoite nano geti miu nanaget stanos the sino. Gezik steigt as im Joabet steikens rondan stuck to the Waskai teik. Jishmag steitagun as in andom squataik zoyo, get as I modem dan how is tak hoiken negues sweet, nanako is sweet as sea get jishuk, neste de tact, gehuts down nant. Neste makne gwes subidasi, achu ide tagunasi, noch nanako istishagat. Nedehu dat, iu jish knocked out nashim stihi achabuets goyo, and jish, ish pshadwi nede begochem datum nopun. U nashet shabuide gwes subidasi get jishuk, egu nanako ishu staganotzagon, miamu taban. Gehen skudeo yabi yabet says ibn tam goyo. And you was skagen ho stana got nana goyo. Gemagen hem shaden douch shanot. Egut washu nada tsugon. Uyu pumi ke kutak tsugoyo de waska ishpumt kaitako. Egu yo kaitako nash was chidedness. Uga nocht nandot state na no zgon gait hizebud nashwach stak hizebud si gen de down. Get dan spit na no de zimiu bud zgon de hish nishtamt.
Mamnitum higan ge climate change or the janos destinanos. Mega magdano des destinanos westel des stit. Schnastaber ge shashim sti hachu ewi spit ge nokt ge shash agaga we miashet.
No upting I affected the I can see what in our area.
Yeah, they detect on a Ubia sugar detect. They be out that national.
She should actually detect. Mush used the detect. Mush used.
Muy neust kaya que se aswina tiyo di taka. Aga spin. Aga tan muy ay das katan dashin. Skamiga adem shkojist.
Aitkia shkojga taki zebunda de hemai. Skamiga no manot tani pshusho tani psh abu buidang.
It's harder to read and understand a lot more.
Ai nastaba wipa ha. Ishnagone abu buidia skami.
Minashtkayo. We wasn't spot mishkaj. Mujim shkoja buon henden ha dan des sit. We wasn't spot.
Kiega by Shemad Mshkut Keta, Boshtu Mshkut. November. Asnash ni babam tenam skumita. A kundish. Muinash ni babam tenash. That's kind of after Christmas or New Year's, Kababam Bianemski.
Charlton Island, I don't know, last, if I say maybe 4 or 5 out of the last 10 years, it has not frozen. And that's you know, historically that hasn't been the case.
We have a scale of sound of a skid. I got the ashwood. Most ashwood. Get it spot some scummy. Now see what you've been going on them scummy.
أنا نشناق أنا شيء ميوش ديشناق لين دامت ودين دامت نبيت شامش يروش وشي كاسو ده إما يتصيد.
이거 뭐 어디가 지속돼요. 이제 작은이 되고 잡을 치다 나가 대신 나가 치다도 이제요. 아니 이제 작은이 지식을
Gende economic bisum economic. I was going on it and this she got. Who bisum absconde initiative bisum sense do not and the tact and this she got. Say you haven't said that. I should say it mangani. I said good maga, I said maga, I no snare maga.
I wish que tinha dentro de multimédia onde daí skami tem de taxi tem tem pshushoid tem mais nicht nest negini na shay ek tiano ganji shay es que magna shay tu da kogna noi es que eu isto para do nesse sigunit es que na shay te wana item bushit op te no ganji shay aga zin sto nigno de shay aga zin sto nagno nam skami
Nyanga do denano de hochkam zin hidaumt. Hocha yaba cheat sta da idid. Mashkagin chi yodia. Ud nando tema da da. Edo shoitn skumisha knab merga dan is naksit.
Nedemagish nishtamt ogt pmiasho stagno demsen hano dan is spiden skami. En hewim stuk shiwabm jagmane abatst. En no got dan is nakomes genau hebam bejnanot intestiumsen higent. Gemag most as you beat them sun haka and ziza nanagach dada mshu yashi spiden himskami. Edo dugem jeden do taksod wan ziza nanagach hadam skami. Mia meshagamantis ptayat and teushkogajak gemin a teshkogajak bisum. Gemag gizi witignun de he muyabit tanishna kohanu meskana. Zizit set godden zidi yod agayada dakapchen gansha. Gemagin zidi yod and duiga dado aga zit nito dakapchen gansha dande he ay dado.
Uge ay stiga. Nashtabay ha achi diktagan.
Uts over. Mus god nu sibi się galanga. Ja go to jest specjal. Web mam skadia. Siasen dziś pa chciałem czonon. Mój bił się. Ne stał. Go to jest specjal skado. Tyś na gas wyjdą. Ja go nie nachsać. Den nie tam się.
제어림 희고 아버님 심시티에 스컷 모도가 미시가 지식이요 게아이 아이가 데이터 탁네 두이단옷 단지 시하고 명예 저거니 디안된 두이단 칸가 에네베 시자나이 아스콘도 녹탄데 아이 신가데다이 stiga yusti ka higo che tabachi mo dessen ge ya mugo ne naksa dia da ya hatta ka ya da misti ya chibu ne stio
Ja, bima che de ta konya zo in ta ska ke.
West is the idea. Net so idea. No time 15,000 to 1,000. De ram schwadia. West get ya nicht mehr drauf dran. 15,000 thôi. Nipsi.
Jiga stakun dai ha. Jiga na nakoga. Utke waska. But kan nan de me wa hiwen e mu shit stakun. Nyuka ta go ya en taut koka. Na stabai ha. Ai Boston tauten hedit man gani. Boston.
Abaj effect on hage. Yeah, climate change. Abaj effect our forests.
Shauja shemuna shusta ushkui. Beshu jautui.
Ja, de singo ja, aki ispido ja, stigolia, aki bei de takia. Ja, ja, we tibudia de teni ja. Angri ja jishugia. Aska da se chide dia ta, chide wi da skai tai ka. Ji ya min chide ta. Wi ya na sai. Ji mi un tao du di ba.
Asko muy mi begopon hishna ko naga mi un tao tsagon. Aga deb chide deb zamutke.
Na se chide da ba na sai tin tao so. Se sko so da.
Wi se tumen ga so da. Aga mam tumen chitnas. Moet miun taudi die demet ja. Moet je als een service sweet service.
Cái spoil đó cái gì? Thì với út sao? Chỉ想mới xây đắc số, rồi tôi có này đi, mới nát xây đắc số.
Niski. Hade då viskit. Nu gör jag det. Kan nog tinna pagen åt. Gish winas mi khorn pagno. Winas mo shanande. I kan pamla.
Muishim stitau nask. We helge ke snaksat weskit. We at de yat sent me jemio. Den taut nidia.
Nia gep shopt ma gep shit man at. Na namji ma gat tat biaso di taksat. Ige biashi shedia. Na ko inaksudo. Mui pshit shot.
Kadgadu esisu ga ai gason. Ashmo min nok sodne nori nok sod weskit.
Wat pjega mai munu sho mande weskit. Maar zit het same ja ni dit man. So some no big stelle stede bufta.
Asko to ni ga bi shi shi de ni. Ha pistola shi shi. Gevio ge spada nort to.
Geha o mano dad wesisa daga ge skaduch. O mano dad o de desse. Acho que na nux dad gaude in our area. Eu gun meet.
Ai dinga no abmada. Winas no shobma da di swan nga to da o apsodo. Ni wabmana dot. 6 shoot.
Ja, pelken ga dan hè. Ni na sino choma. Nee. Misschien. Nu weet je het je doen niet. Den doe gedaan.
Ek miska jo pieso kadak. Mutso. Eu nash ehtade de taksat. Ek minenai. Uchijak eu minash we uchide de taksat. Sagni de no jinukso.
Moja mogon nask. Kodgad ga wesi sodia.
It's effectu ya dawe. Ayo. Stiga ut effectu like nu ga wesi sade mit so dat. Aber just the bed effectu.
Wesken your man which now see.
Ge hai. Ntoka hinga tsan ntoka hinga order. Min sho ma shkan order ne de. Job ma man. Aka school begen apartment.
Tetsana. Na he you see do shkan op. Which style? Ai. Muno se ma ni da da. Wapsta. Wapsta no shkan. Shkan nan to ya. 그런 시간 노조에 치는 없어. 그건 없어요. 마찬가지 왜 치 뭐가 몇몇 있다. 그게 학생들 대도야. 몇몇 있다.
det ajatkäänä sitä voimme chedo amsk.
Musa muy asyyte taksoge musa weyut sidego de takso. Mutta jotenkin mä uskon, että punteu tahtia udisni distantis. Weyut sidite takso, musa dokshaka gata.
Wapske нужно нуксу wapsk шашуда. Як eu kan min he wapsk midget не згои he midjik.
You're getting a lot of polar bear on Charleston Island. You know, 10 years ago it would be an odd sighting to see a polar bear. Now when most of the people that go to their camps, they're going to see polar bears, either when they're at the camp or when they're hunting.
Shiawe homano dem hiken di homano dasko. Cheshu. Gut. We shu homano dwishkija.
Much sakson de wishkit. We dasm chero Hanuman de wishkit. And she shall dot and pound on. Big old at the whatske. A whooptke.
All bring it, you know, Tim, all bring we caught it, you know, Tim. Eu gan ahi at ba jumna no ge etan o bringa.
When in the part of still in reaction with ice vegan. I got the gym water vegan. Ayo, we knew moose. I got the gym water moose. I wish I say one wish I go back there. Yeah, my out of the door.
I go out snacks of this good. Yang detai moose yeah. You are pichio there. You are Waskaganish. You know, say, oh, I buy the shiny there to have a piece of sheet. You go up, Mugumus, and I need a pichio there.
Because I'm chedon, your magabi, I'm chedon, your mamusia, and a bit again there. I got away in the pig again. Here your mother Musa, my sugar, and they have a peach there. It took an action on there.
You show I should that, you should put the. You have no niche, and I'm wearing you didn't go yet. Det var byggsjonen på Genegan.
Just på sånt. Det var skadna sted vi kan ju stå och se det är månad då.
Ja, jag tycker en mäska.
Det går på när de mässet. Machodagarna mäss så har nog så de en jushet ka.
Jag kan se no tag var bet shot. Det var snack så då nu. Jag precis då jag. Abdi var snack så då borde jag.
Jag modem ko achu editak jishak shritagan de dignotam da dehani ay jadi en doubt chenot cuz uday ispuhike en doubt shake jadi nogan na abitsion hai dakha ke achu egana she imatstakta you have your fruits and vegetables.
Everything you can grow down south you can grow here, and there should be no reason for bringing in a truckload of vegetables every summer. So everything in the yard grows here naturally and comes back every year. So it's a good process for growing just about everything you need to eat. Snow peas and carrots, onions, potatoes. A lot of the guys in the bush have already grown potatoes and they're getting a gorgeous crop. And some of the guys have started the onions and carrots and done very well. Cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, it grows naturally and it's very good.
Ögmagen wetwich buita texkut mazanod and doubt shanot. The jitsun monodo you dande says the door and doubt shadow and you imagine and doubt chicken. We are on the BOA that dodges in doubt shadow. Gemag the zixkut monodo dande jish pamanoedo and you can doubt start on doubt chicken. The gizixkut modo sneezo and zid nashkat say go and doubt shanoid. Gen you a jobu he sonanoid. Mishka joji do sneezo the ants scopen buitado and you scot mazeon yoga miagnodo. Ekter twitch bidden touch me meet sonanod, Gary mashtaganod net achbunanod, Gehe sugar buinanod.
Ektopteno escodet, mishti escosodam shtagat. Eu gonna beg the effect because of the heat. Yes,
Aganash samot, nash biakod si editakt. Get shedet nash wibit kapaku adet samot. Nash wibit jabaku editagan si. Eu nash you psededan.
You know, more harsh forest fires, more severe forest fires that spread faster, and burn longer and are harder to get control of.
Wesisat tau hugot. Muji mi jod ni to goyo dekan pshagoit. Wahyu that stated donjit. Wesisat nje and etado wesisat. Nandot mi jemio.
Kaigen Jim Chagam Buidman. Ja, moest het zumut. Emst het zumut geen aanot.
Nu een kahigen heeft ook. Daar is hem. Nooit hem zagen boeien. Saboderne. Passies tamonen. Zagen we binnen de wa weskedia. Most to konia. Nooit hem stief passie boeien binnen. Als hem TIO zit hem stief goed. Dat is sabodoya.
The roads are being washed out a lot more. I've traveled route to north quite often, and just after springtime you could see that a lot more water is being retained, and it's creating a lot of washouts on the roads and other things like that. And
we always try to play proactively in the community. So we do have like an emergency response plan, but it always needs to be updated.
Duitagan moestejiatstaganot, miskudajiashkustko iu danjishnatskotko denishtamt. Nu nashjaskadachi de takchishak. Nanamji met shabuit ge sheshguj ichi de tak. Beg da boetgan duitak so when swedazina nagatstad getazin hibuitad new itun, wieshis buede. Gemag wiezeld maktak ewitsetak danoidan isbued. Ewit magno da iud. Dan dece jishi esquistko wieshis buede. Gemag sptiuten zano du shakwachiman. Mishkuj Rupert CB diabetst dianagno da iud wieshis buede. Aga diabetst meskna.
I mean, right now the sun is getting up around 5:30 in the morning, and then your sun doesn't go down to almost 10:30. It has to be a teaching program to go with the solar energy. As long as everybody can do a little reading and we can teach and transfer our knowledge to the local guy that wants to use it, it's a win-win for everybody in the neighborhood. If you want to heat your cabin, you might be able to do that very nicely with geothermal heat. Instead of cutting 15 to 20 cord of firewood, you would be enjoying your cultural activities more than you would be cutting firewood.
Niga nishtate migon yuiton ge huimon and tak stiano droi haben bitaik shash like the Canoe Brigade the ashumi new droi hebben bitaik is bitaik ege na shaim shkokan de hene
Akagan jish odem shawan ha yuiton is gut mognot wan yuimon ge ha dan ditad wasken den uchmitetat Nesta so to beyond the data and outget Jano Itakia, Waptmanga.
Nesta Catagonia Abilia, than the Chata Don, Mushin Satum when you than a Nagastania than it is Poyet Javoyo, Mushai, Mushnagatum, Georgia, Osnizo Diagana, stay with Satum near. A new market the danger and Nasha with Sat, what the Exodus in the air, and they were the Dr. Dodger in data.
Ai desde que acho minha noi usnizo juin sistem ganho danis poede gage koshonga we usnizo adoz gan sistem new climate change danis digish tak kize poede ga diano ga zmatsionot ganjish eu acho que justo esse gat sistem ga koshonga zgam skigno ga danis digish shay tena dizidia predicto nano dan how this split
idit man ga Nastavujem štitagan dezinskad monoda docni dodge haidit washid about the environment ge ho climate change. Osteš kad ge gmashon eskad madzelgam tke jejish skad madzenot.
Did we steika stasino? Did you nok steika steten cabbage we is split?
Nej, det adaptoika. Like mushay he. Adapt to nanoga as humans we've been adapting to our environment for thousands of years, and I was just going to say,
Stichtagan hayo departments utan ha justi tji wichidik eri snacksik tano iud mushka wichidik tabertenga serga wen tji wichwedo he eri guisk tji nagachtano do stastinano.
Magajis kuskut mazanod achio is bridjishakande kuskut mazaugamkt. Nui but snenanam snihigan gwetstemoyat, zezitok tweet mazaun, shash iuitonio ezikuskut maganoda usnizot, gehent cheyo de mamobada. Tapshkan magusnizot ge cheyo zgizi kuskut masodnio achio is bridjishaguyo. Jezi esquida magusnizot, jezi wichweda danish iwishtaganwit. Ge shui ni bushtiganoid, dan is takhiza bued no achio is bued jishuguyo. No taskunanan magusnizo za zikuskut mazed no achio edi taguni jishuguyo. Ge magui za justad ge za ziniganchkakenyo, nanako zgoyo zait nanoid.
Daimiktem higundigan den is stamt zano ge iskadak cherhege did our future children. Tanegan how did the dijo guisk to the nagachtaiko stastinano staitagan did the guisk to the nagatchtak erge iditman.
Semada usnizo da kudrudge steitko winskut masodaga dauden die chash. Eugdi aber chichon in der Hand did usnizo ashe di dadani ayo edinskut mono da eugdi dadan did you which on.
I think usnizo this might take them how powerful they are. How they react could affect like a domino effect,
because we need to get the idea in people's minds. Kag dezi mamad nita quen dan dezi quesnaktad yan the way he or she eduda ktsgoy at home or even so yabat seed, dezi miunag chtaika ustiga.
Serge when the manut dezi beju ichwedat. Aga dezi webanasodadne with aga dezi miunaga chtano de sastinano magay idea if not us then who?